Once upon a time, in a land where the sun kissed the golden rooftops and the river sang through emerald valleys, there lived a king named Hakobber. He was powerful, rich beyond measure, and believed himself to be the greatest of all. His palace shimmered with gold, his gardens bloomed with flowers that whispered secrets of distant lands. But King Hakobber had one flaw: his pride. He demanded that his subjects praise him daily, declaring him the wisest, the strongest, and the most magnificent king who had ever lived. Anyone who dared to suggest otherwise was met with harsh punishments. Fear spread like wildfire, and soon, no one dared to speak against him. Unbeknownst to the king, two ancient fairies named Mojo and Jojo watched over the kingdom. Disguised as humble old women, they walked among the people, listening to their fears and hopes. They had seen the once prosperous kingdom become clouded by fear and silence. Worried for the future, they decided to test King Hakobber's heart and teach him a lesson that no power could shield him from. One day, during a grand court session where nobles and courtiers vied for the king's attention, two old women approached the royal hall.
"Who dares approach my throne without invitation?"
"We are but humble travelers, Your Majesty. We have journeyed far and wide, through lands where mountains kiss the sky, and rivers whisper secrets of ancient times."
"Well, if you have traveled so far, tell me, who is the mightiest of all?"
"Oh, great king, of course it is you. You are the mightiest of all, greatest of all."
Then Mojo, one of the two old ladies, looked at Jojo, another old lady, and smiled. King Hakobber's chest swelled with pride, and a satisfied smile tugged at the corners of his lips.
You are wise indeed,"
glancing approvingly at his courtiers, who nodded in agreement. But when his gaze shifted to Jojo, who stood silently, her eyes calm and thoughtful, his expression hardened.
"And what say you, old lady? Do you second your friend?"
"Forgive me, Your Majesty, but I cannot say it is you."
A ripple of murmurs spread through the court. King Hakobber's brow furrowed, his pride pricked.
"If not me, then who?"
"It is time, Your Majesty. Time is the mightiest of all."
"Time?"
The king threw his head back and laughed.
"What power does time hold compared to me? I can command armies, build cities, and change the fate of nations. What can time do?"
Laughter erupted from his courtiers as they mocked Jojo's foolishness.
"Time can humble the greatest of kings, Your Majesty, but if you do not believe me, I can prove it."
"Prove it, Very well. If you can prove your words, I shall reward you handsomely. But if you fail, you will regret ever stepping into my court."
"I accept, Your Majesty."
The next morning, Jojo requested that the king accompany her on a journey to witness the beauty of his kingdom. King Hakobber, ever eager to showcase his grandeur, agreed. He summoned his finest steed, but Jojo stopped him.
"Let us walk, Your Majesty, only then will we truly see."
King Hakobber agreed. Under the blazing sun, they walked for hours until they reached a crystal-clear lake, its surface shimmering under the afternoon sun.
"Your Majesty, why not take a refreshing bath? The heat is unforgiving, and the water looks inviting."
Tired and sweating, King Hakobber agreed. Stripping off his regal robes adorned with jewels, he stepped into the water. As the coolness embraced him, he felt a moment of serenity. But while he was enjoying his bath, Jojo quietly gathered his clothes and handed them to a beggar who had been waiting nearby. When King Hakobber emerged from the lake, he looked around and froze. His clothes, gone. Not a soul was in sight. Panic gripped him as he stood there, naked and vulnerable. With no other choice, he tore large leaves from nearby bushes and fashioned a makeshift covering. As he began the long walk back to his palace, his troubles grew worse. Villagers he had once ruled over with an iron fist did not recognize him. They pointed, laughed, and called him a madman.
"Hey, look at that fool. Has the forest gone to his head?"
Even goats, mistaking the leaves for food, chased after him, nipping at his makeshift clothing. Humiliated and desperate, the king finally reached the palace gates. But the guards, seeing only a strange man dressed in leaves, barred his way.
"Begone, madman! This is no place for beggars!"
King Hakobber pleaded, but his words fell on deaf ears. He was pushed away, and for the first time in his life, he was powerless. As the sun began to set and the cool breeze whispered through the leaves, Jojo finally returned. She approached the shivering king, who sat defeated by the lake. She handed him his royal garments with a serene smile.
Your Majesty, time has proven its power.
King Hakobber dressed in silence, his mind whirling with everything that had happened. When he returned to the palace, this time clad in his rightful robes, the guards fell to their knees in fear and reverence. This time they recognized him. Back in the safety of his court, King Hakobber faced Jojo and Mojo once more.
You were right. Time is indeed the greatest of all.
True to his word, King Hakobber rewarded Jojo and Mojo handsomely, but he went a step further. He invited both Mojo and Jojo to stay at the palace as his advisors, to guide him in matters where wisdom was greater than strength. From that day on, King Hakobber ruled with newfound humility, for he had learned that no crown, no wealth, and no power could ever outlast the will of time. The people of the kingdom rejoiced, for their king, once blinded by pride, now ruled with wisdom and compassion. As for Mojo and Jojo, though they never revealed their true nature, they remained by the king's side, their eyes ever watchful, ensuring that the kingdom thrived, not under the weight of arrogance, but under the grace of wisdom. For in the end, time spares no one, not even kings.